pick the other. So opinions seem divided between Faie and Brome. I'm happy to play either. I haven't played Brome before, but I also haven't played this. I'm not sure I've played Faie in the new format actually. Yeah, let's go Faie. Hold standby. I'm interested to see how Vanar feel now with the nerfs. Vesperian Might, I'm going to guess that's a straight no. Wings of Paradise, very, very good card. And Sunseer is pretty mediocre. I think this is a snap Wings of Paradise, but what do you lot think? I feel like Vesperian Might is a card I don't even really want in a deck with like 8 Vespers. You're only going to draw a couple in the early few turns. They'll probably die. Like, in order to actually make this work, you need so much stuff to go right. This card's fine, but it's like... Hello. 2-4 for 3 isn't great, so... Bam. Rustcrawler, Storm Arthur, Hailstone Golem. So this is one of the better 4-drops in the game, and this is a 2-drop, which... 2-drop 2/3s are good. I don't think that's even really a consideration. The Arthur's okay, and it's a pretty threatening card if the game goes really long and your opponent hides in a corner and drops it. But I'm not picking over a good 2-drop or a really good 4-drop. I think this is the Hailstone Golem. I think, although 2/3s for 2 are perfectly replaceable, and Rustcrawler's ability is fine, but doesn't come up that often. Hailstone is like, being 6 health is kind of almost like a line of rules text that other cards don't have. I think he's a little more special than most. Interested to see what people think about this one. It's a fairly close pick, I would say. But my gut tells me the Golem. I do love Hailstone Golem so much. Just going to wait a few more seconds for any messages to come through. Golem is good. I'd probably go Hailstone, yeah. I'm glad you folks agree with me. Bam! Hailstone down. Cryogenesis, Fenrir Warmaster, Aspect of the Ravager. Oh, this is an interesting pick. This is one of those picks you can talk about, because like, we have a decent generic 3-drop. It's not great, but it's pretty good, especially in an aggro deck. We have a good removal spell that's mostly useful against large things. And we have a really good removal spell that's mediocre if you don't pick anything that synergizes with it. Might as well grab Hailstone. I like having a Rustcrawler in my back pocket, but it's probably not totally worth it here. Yeah, I think that's a good analysis of the situation. I've got Ravager. You like Ravager? I think the problem with Aspect of the Ravager is if you have more than one Aspect card in your deck, they get really clunky in draft, I find. Like, they're super good against golems, but that's like it. And casting them on your own walls and things is always a bit underwhelming for me. Well, people do seem to like Ravager. I actually really rate Cryogenesis. I think it's a really powerful card. There's plenty of good Vespers that I'm happy to have, and you only need 1 or 2 to make it good. The way you lose with Faie is having a huge thing shoved in your face. Yeah, that's fair. Problem is, it just kind of sucks when you need to use this to remove a 4-drop. Like, you can end up very behind in those games. I prioritize looking for outs against 10-10s or 10-7s. That's a good approach. Yeah. Yeah. Problem is, even when it was 1 mana, like, if you play a 3-drop, they play a Hailstone Golem. This is all you've got. It's like, oh, that's rough. You gotta commit to holding Ravager if you draft it. Yeah, the problem is that, like, then normally with removal spells, I like that flexibility, right? I like being able to go, okay, they've played a 4-drop. Do I need to make the tempo play? And with Ravager, if you make the tempo play, you probably lose. I don't mind holding removal spells, but I'd much rather have the choice not to hold them, because sometimes the game says you need to kill this, because with your hand you're otherwise just falling behind. It goes down on something huge, or it doesn't go down at all. If you don't want to do that, then get Cryo, because Faie. Very interesting pick. Meanwhile, Vanna had 5 different transform spells. 2 stuns, a dispel, a become 1-1, a become 5-5, and can't hit generals, a pounce to hand and walls. Yeah, there are other ways to beat big things, I guess. I'm doing this. Let's see if we can make this work. Zix, Glacial Elemental, Mana Forger. Right, these are all pretty medium. Forger is like okay, I guess. Being able to cast a spell. It's good with this. It's good with like Frostburn. And kind of unnerf it. This I don't like. You need a lot of Vespers for this guy to be good. I mean, if you have a Snow Chaser, that works, but Snow Chaser's one card. And this is just unimpactful. But you do need Vespers because you have Cryo. Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine to speculate on a Cryogenesis. The card is powerful, and there are quite a few good Vespers. Like, this one isn't one of them, but there's plenty of, like, you know, Crystal Cloakers and stuff. I would consider... I've generally been happy to pick, like, Vesper-ish cards early on and know that I'll get a few. If we don't get a Vesper for this, like, that's really... I think that's pretty unlucky. Like, that would be a pretty significant punish. Even then, it's still, like, kills a 4-drop. Like, that's fine. I guess I'm taking the Mana Forger here. I don't like the pick, but at least since the Saberspine Tiger nerf, it's less punishable. The other thing about this is obviously you can get like a big Vesper, and then it's incredible. You get Draugr Lord or something. Picking Mana Forger also turns on Arcanyst stuff early. That is a good shot, actually, yeah. He does help with that. Lost Artificer, Albi, Sage, Salad. Well, you mentioned Arcanyst stuff. These cards are both pretty good, though. I mean, I guess this ability is marginal at best. Celebrant's fine. I mean, reliably playing 4-drops on turn 2 is really nice. But given we just picked the Mana Forger, I'm very tempted by the Albi Sage. This card's kind of like another Hailstone Golem. We could try this and see how far we go. King of the Arcanysts. Yeah. Arcanysts are a bit risky in draft, I find. I tend to prefer just having a blue Conjurer and that'll be it. Prophet of the White Palm, no. Fortune Shaper and White Widow. This card's alright. Epic cards do vary pretty widely. Really good epic Arcanysts. Conjurers are rare. Trinity Wings legendary. What good epic ones like Ether Master? Screw that guy. Nothing really leaps out. There's some good epic Vespers, like Draugr Lord. White Widow. I like White Widow. I don't know that we need it necessarily. We've already got a bunch of good 4s. And we'll probably get more because there's plenty of high quality 4-drops in this game. So I'm not interested in this. I think we'll roll the dice on Fortune Shaper. Its failure case is much worse than the other ones. Much worse? Much less bad. Much smaller. Oh god, these are all pants. So I mean, this is cute with Mana Forger. It would have been hilarious with that Glacier Elemental because it makes 3 Vespers. This card is awful. I tried building a Kara deck with this in Constructed, and it's so... like, you get punished, and this is not good, I guess. Ambush is actually really good in Gauntlet. That doesn't surprise me, actually, to be fair. The card is pretty powerful. I think it might be a little unreliable, but I do like that it draws you 2 cards. Yeah, we'll pick this. Not too unhappy about it. Shivers, there's a Vesper. Spirit of the Wild, to go with that Blood Torah we just passed. And Ironclad. This card is like, okay, right? You trade with something small if it doesn't die. Which, yeah, Blood Tear is less common nowadays. If you position aggressively, it's easy to keep them locked in around the middle tile unless they have a ton of early removal. Yeah, that's very true. We could try for like wombo combos. If we get second Mana Forger, we can kill people with this for like 12 damage. That's a terrible idea. Let's never do that. I'm just going to pick the Shivers. I think these cards are all bad, but at least Shivers is a hit off Cryogenesis, which means that's one less thing to worry about. Like, worst comes to worst, we have a Vesper to hit off Cryo. And it can help ramp us to what may end up being an expensive deck. Future Shaker, Concealing Shroud, Luminous Charge. Well, more cards for this Blood Torah deck keep coming up. And I guess we'll continue ignoring them. Feature Shaker, this card's okay. I mean, obviously legendaries are great. Obviously 3/3s for 3 are awful, with no other upside. If you can pick up a Frostfire, you'll be in business. I do like Frostfire. My favourite Vano decks are the ones that go double Crystal Cloaker, Frostfire, and then a bunch of like removal and tempo and a bit of card advantage, because then you bash them for 7 and force them to respond to your 7/4, and then you just like keep up the pressure with your large curve of like mid-range minions, and then if they manage to turn the tide, you play like a Necroseer or something, and they have to kill it with removal because they've already taken a bunch of face damage, and you draw a card, you get some value. Oh, beautiful. Frostfire is like quietly like the best control card in draft. Meanwhile, is Luminous Charge good enough? I mean, it is a spell, so we can benefit from it in 2 ways already. That's good. It's pretty funny. It's useful against Varth in particular. It combos with a few different things. Charges, I would say charges both pretty difficult to deal with and hard to take advantage of. It's a bit of an awkward card. Like, it blocks off space really well, and sometimes you can hem your opponent in. Like, AoEs aren't really a punish, except Lightbender, obviously. It's probably better than having a Future Shaker in the deck. If nothing else, it goes really well with Icebreak Ambush, and it triggers the Sage. So that's not nothing. And we can try and get like a Scorn or something to combo with it. People don't use it properly, you need to spread the charges out for maximum annoyance. I think that depends. I think sometimes you want to hem your opponent in and try and actually set up to deal... to get them to take damage. Like, because they have to get out of it somehow. Otherwise you're going to kill them with Warbird and set up combos and stuff. And it's hard for them to play minions when they're blocked in. Plus it's very difficult for them to free themselves properly by attacking one minion. But you can also spread it out across the middle of the board. But I think it's easier. It's just easier to clear then. It's not as threatening. But we'll see how it works. I think I'm picking it. Saberspine Tiger, Bloodshard Golem, Brightmoss Golem. Well, this is clearly inferior to the other two. I do love me some Brightmoss Golem. This guy is awesome. Nice big body to join our other nice big bodies, so we can really stress our opponent's removal and their ability to trade with medium-sized minions with just a pile of big beefy 4Xs. On the other hand, Saberspine has a more unique role. I guess we have a Cryogenesis, which does a pretty similar thing, maybe slightly better now. Deck's looking a little slower, so we're not really looking for burst yet. We have Luminous Charge to do something potentially better if we can set up a combo with it. If they're packed together, they have less surface area for damage. Yes, that's a good point. They do deal more focused damage, though. And they allow your opponent more options to play minions. Like in corners and stuff. Tiger as Ghetto removal. Yeah. I don't know. Brightmoss Golem's so good. You can't gamble on getting those chromatic colds. No, that's true. Yeah, I guess we're 10 cards in with only one removal spell. Ranged minions are a thing. It synergizes with the walls. That's a stretch. I mean... yeah, I guess. But I mean, I can play Brightmoss Golem off them as well, right? Gut says Tiger. Yeah, okay. Removal is good. Frosthorn Rhino, Shivers, Blood Tora. I don't think I want 2 copies of Shivers, no matter how much Cryogenesis I have. I still don't want a Tora, which just leaves me with a Frosthorn Rhino, I guess. Brightmoss looks great again after Lava Slash and Nerf. Oh yeah. I'm glad it's been restored to its rightful throne. Like, I genuinely think it's a good card. People have played it on ladder in certain metas, but in Gauntlet it's just a house. Like, easy 2 for 1, sometimes 3 for 1. Ugh, I don't like Frosthorn Rhino. Like, it's a potentially powerful card, but my god, it's clunky. Maybe we'll be able to get something to set it up. I keep forgetting Rhino isn't a Vesper. Me too, I wish it was. Second Albeast? Or Sojourner? I don't think this is in contest with either of these. right now we only have a couple of spells and they're expensive. So even though I guess they do go well together. But Sojourn is so good. Another owl. There is the temptation to go off. We're going for Arcanyst. Fate Sealer into Seraphim. That would be. I would be so happy. Seraphim Icebreak Ambush. So busted. You still have the BBS. I do, but it isn't always available in the mid game. That is a good late game plan though. Yeah, screw it. We owls now. Oh, we got the. Oh! Who needs Fate Sealer? Hey, Rockin', thanks for joining. We've been up for just over an hour. Do I want to play Sojourn 3 when my deck is a heavy boy? Well, we're not even halfway through yet. We're hoping to lower the curve at some point. But yeah, this is hella good. We just need to not die in the meantime. There's a Vesper, but it's bad. And we have a Rocket Up Terror and a Rescue RX. I do like Rocker for being able to... Oh wait, this triggers Arcanysts. Oh! Do you know, I was going to pick this because it's a 2-drop and it heals us, but I think actually it's the Rocket Up Terror for both value and synergy potential. Helps against Raver, Heartseekers, draws a card, and of course, triggers our Owl Beasts. Everyone agrees that Zukong is a pick. I mean, we do need 3-drops, right? Our curve's looking a little lacking, so... Oh my god, I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't pick another Seraphim, but I'm going to. It's like there's a White Asp, and we're playing a really slow deck, and the White Asp will be so good. But no! I'm picking second Seraphim. This deck's so bad. But if they're not playing at... Oh my god! We got it! We got the combo! And it's AoE, which will really, really help. Oh my god, that's fantastic. Okay, we just need cheap cards from now on. Right, slamming this now. It's a spell, we're playing a slow deck, now we need this. Go. Deceptibot, Architect, Night Watcher. I mean, it draws a card. And it's got a decent amount of health, so it's hard to tempo up, but it doesn't really do anything on the way back. On the other hand, this is kind of crappy. This is another 4-drop on a pile of them. So I'm probably just is the Architect. At least it does cycle, unless their opponent wants to put 10 damage into it or a removal spell. RIP other Gauntlet players. Well, fingers crossed, we don't know. They can just kill us before we do anything. Oh, Blob. This is great. This is so great. All right, we'll pick the crappy thing that at least cantrips. Ooh, okay. So this might be all right if we're gonna get faced. This is a 3-drop, but this Giago is actually perfect for our deck. This card is amazing. It buys so much time, and will really help bridge the gap to Seraphim or setting up big Owl Beasts. We don't have anything in particular that protects it, but it is just generally a great card. I like Night Watcher. 1/5 body is so useless. 1/4 body. Yeah, I guess. I just want something to play. Like, it draws a card, so I don't really care how small it is. I like Giaga here. Yeah, I think... I mean, I do need 3s, but like this is so bad. Right? Like, the card is... It's just not very impactful, whereas this actually helps us survive. This card is really good as a defensive play. I think this is actually the pick. Chromatic Cold, Aspect of the Ravager, Crystal Cloaker. Ooh, now we come to the real decisions. So I don't really think I want 2 aspects of the Ravager, even though our deck is kind of high curved. Like, we could get away with it, but I'd much rather have more efficient answers to mid-game stuff. Windrunner is not bad in Gauntlet, it's extremely strong. I've honestly just never had it do much for me. Like, it has a high upside, but The problem is sometimes you draw it on turns that aren't one, or they just have a removal spell, and it doesn't really do anything. I'm just not a fan of it, to be honest. I know that Hisuku loves it, but in my experience it's just a one more card. Yeah, that's what I find. Like, personally I haven't been very impressed with it. I think this is very close between Cloaker and Chromatic Cold. Having 2 Vespers means we can more reliably draw a card off Cryogenesis. Like, if we have to play one on the first turn. So it kind of unlocks this as a 2-drop as well as giving us an additional one. Chromatic, obviously, it's a spell. We've only got 2 infinite range removal spells, which makes this a lot better. If you want to play Windrunner when you're losing, use it as a decoy, or you go into full retreat with it. Yeah, and I just don't like having to do that with like cards that don't get any value. So I think I actually want this. I think we do actually need some proactive plays, and it's a Vesper for Cryogenesis. I will miss not taking the Chromatic though, and we've got a higher chance of finding other 2-drops, or indeed other Vespers, than we have finding a removal spell of the quality of Chromatic Cold. But Chromatic is only really good when they've got buffs or ranged units, and outside of those situations, it's not really effective at like helping you kill minions in the middle of the board or back up pressure. You should be aiming for 6 to 8 2-drops. Oh yeah, I mean that's the ideal, but you can get away with a lot fewer. I still think this is the... Oh, no. No, I think we need this. 2 removal spells in a deck this kind of slow probably doesn't cut it. But let's just hope we get more 2-drops. Like this Circulus. Yeah. And this Snow Chaser. Perfect. That's our second... that gives us the second Vesper that we wanted. And it's card draw. I mean, it's neither of these are amazing 2-drops as 2-drops, but like, whatever. Yeah. Boom. Now we're talking. The curve is no longer embarrassing, which means we have choices now. This card is alright, but it's super vulnerable to any sort of dispels or whatever. What we have right now is a blue Magma deck. Yeah, that's a good point. I think this pick is Necroseer. I like Necroseer a lot. And it dovetails nicely into our kind of value game. It's a good way to curve out. Like, it's way better on curve than Froststone Rhino. Less situational than the Giago is, or the Luminous Charge. So it gives us a nice solid 5-drop that we can just plop down and trade with. Ghost Legs is pretty crap. High Hand's like... So High Hand is like sometimes a 5-6 or a 6-7. And at that point it's super sweet. But I think the less health for more reliability in card draw is probably better. And like if they dispel this, they spend a card to take away your drawing a card. Whereas if they dispel this, it's useless. Lynx's removal if you're lucky. Oh yeah. But it's also a 2-1. I've been pretty unimpressed with it in the past. I like Lynx is good TV. That's not an unreasonable point. I am on stream. But I think in the service of making this deck work, because it's still a little bit of a fragile machine. I'm going to pick this Necroseer. Corona. Boom. That's also kind of a fake 2-drop. Like, to pay lip service to the other cards, Snowpiercer is good, but mostly in aggressive decks, and we're definitely not an aggressive deck. And Avalanche is clunky. Like, usable, but clunky. You can do things with it sometimes, like, you draw it and you can try and bait your opponent into playing into it and then hop out of your side of the board and cast Avalanche. But the problem with Avalanche is when you draw it in situations other than that exact situation and it just, like, clunks up your hand and does nothing. Whereas Corona is always great. Easy pick. Planar Scout, Face Striker, Frostfire. We could try the Frostfire. We still only have 2 Vespers, although one of them's fairly reliable. But if we end up putting this on like a T2K5, an Owlbeast Sage, Saber Spine, Frosthorn Rhino, Giago, it's actually good on most of our creatures. Even like Wings of Paradise is pretty good on. And we can still cycle it with Circulus. And obviously it's great with this. So it's probably pickable. I mean, I certainly like it more than these other two cards. Not that I like it much in a deck like this, but I certainly like it more than these. In Snowpiercer's defense, you have few to no things that can deal 5. Nope, that's very true. I do actually like the card a lot. Like, it's really useful for killing 3-drops in general, especially Silverguard Knights, but the problem is when it costs so much health to use, and not just costs health immediately, like, you know, you attack and you take 3, but it puts you in the front lines. Whereas a lot of the time you need the flexibility to run away. It's quite a good card, but if my curve was way lower, I'd probably be much more interested in it. It's a good face damage card, it's a good tempo card, but it doesn't really grab me here. Ironclad, Crystalline Reinforcement, Glacial Fissure. Bloody hell. Okay, so this does basically nothing. We have a Frostfire. I guess it does count for Owlbeast Sage as well. And this guy, not that these ever get buffed. No. I mean, like, it could work, but no. Ironclad, I think, is pretty medium. Sometimes it does work, but 5 mana 4/3 in a deck like this, like the tempo loss is going to be too rough. So I think this is a Fissure. People saying Fissure in the chat. Yeah, I think the upside on this card is high enough that it's worth, like, whereas Avalanche is kind of expensive and clunky. Like, this is easier for you to avoid yourself, and the upside is massive, and it's a bit cheaper, so we'll go for it. Jaxi, Diamond Golem, and War Talon. We are not in need of big expensive cards, and I am definitely not going to say no to more 2-drops, especially one that goes quite well with Frostfire. So I think this is a pretty easy pick. Reinforcement would proc the attack buff on the Wolf Raven from Icebreak Ambush. Ah, you're a genius. Oh my god, a blue Conjurer! I didn't even notice that. I was like, oh, a Fortune Shaper. Oh my god. Yeah. Easy. Second Frostfire, second Aspect, second Chromatic Cold. Well, now I regret not picking the Crystal Cloaker. Right, definitely not Frostfire. Easy one of the other two. This is also a Dispel. So if they play a big unit and they buff it, the Chromatic Cold is better if it was a small ranged unit, but if it was a small ranged unit, it's probably far away, and so the 3/3 is less of a problem. If it was a large unit with a buff, or a large unit with text, the Ravager does the same thing, maybe slightly better. This works on the face. This does not. That's relevant. This can target my own stuff, and I have a bunch of small crap minions, so that could be relevant. Yeah, I think it's Ravager. 7 Arcanysts now. Yeah, well, Infinite Arcanysts, I think you mean. Yeah, we'll go with this. One more card, I think? No, that's it. Wow. What a spicy, a spicy pile of clunk we have drafted ourselves here. And going all in on the second Owlbeast Sage definitely worked out in our favour. That's for sure. I mean, this is absurd. It's a shame we didn't get... Oh, that Spirit of the Wild. If only I'd known. That would have been so disgusting. But even just playing this and like jamming Icebreak Ambush is like insane amounts of tempo. And worst comes to worst, it's a Golem that makes your Bloodborne spell cost 0. I'll take it. I think you want CC over Ravager, but you got to commit to holding the existing Ravager in the deck for big unmanageable things. What's the argument for CC over Ravager? Like, there aren't that many targets that CC deals with cleanly that Ravager wouldn't also deal with. Especially now they... Well, actually, Ravager used to be even better at costing 1. There's, like, buffed Heartseekers, and that's kind of it. It's also things like that that make me hesitant to take Hailstones. I don't know. Honestly, I'm like the Hailstone Golem. You can just play it on turn 2 regardless. Like with Owl-based, if you play it on turn 2 as a 4/4, it will die and you'll be really sad. With Hailstone Golem, like it's one of the best turn 2 plays in the format, in my opinion. I think the Hailstone and Brightmoss Golem are just subtly like great, really really great cards. I think few people would say Hailstone Golem is bad, but I think Brightmoss Golem is really underrated.